Hi guys, good morning, Creator Mom. So this morning I was reading in the book The Fuck It Diet, and it got me thinking about like arbitrary rules. Arbitrary rules, limits, restrictions that we put on ourselves, like they exist all around us. Like we live in a system full of like arbitrary rules. And so what do arbitrary rules do? They are set in place to try to control things from without, to prevent a certain negative outcome, usually. I feel that most importantly, it's there to prevent negative outcomes more so than it is to induce positive outcomes, if you will. I think that, so more so it's there to prevent these negative outcomes. And generally speaking, it's funny that when we put these arbitrary rules in place, they actually sometimes end up creating more of what we don't want. That's the ironic thing about it. Like, hey, for instance, the seatbelt law, right? I heard that supposedly there was more crashes. Study showed, whatever. I could be wrong, but that's kind of like an arbitrary rule, Gotta put your seatbelt on, or you're gonna take it, and then like accidents go up. Like, what's that about, right? It's supposed to. I thought that. I don't know if less people were harmed than like less accidents, more people harmed. I don't know. And excuse me if I'm citing that incorrectly. But yeah, sometimes these arbitrary rules tend to create effects that we don't want. So in this book I'm reading with dieting, it's like the arbitrary rules of food. And we have fucking libraries of rules for food. But she makes the point that every time somebody goes on a restrictive diet that's not maintainable for them across the board, like say for the rest of your life or something, let's just use that because I can't think of the other freaking term right now. The rebound effect. The rebound is even worse because it makes your weight set point higher, apparently. So the arbitrary rules can make people focus more on food, make people more obsessive about food. And in turn, that works against what they want to do because they want to lose weight, right? But then maybe you end up gaining weight again. So, and not only just gaining weight, but then gaining more weight. So that's really fucked up. Anyhow, so yeah, those outer arbitrary rules, when, this book and life, a lot of themes in life in general are calling us to go within a place that we don't trust, a scary place. That's the common theme that I'm seeing here. And maybe that's because of how I'm seeing things out of my own perception. It's a theme for me in my life. Self-trust. Trusting self, trusting the body. And the messages I got all my life is that the body really cannot be trusted. In church, the message was, the body is basically a disgusting slab of meat. If you allow it to eat, oh my God, just call me Dr. Seuss, okay? The body is a disgusting slab of meat. If you allow it to eat, it will just go eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and that's all it'll do, and you'll become as big as a house. So, trying to eat intuitively is like, are you kidding me? Like, no, we need these rules. We need this portion control to keep us in line, to keep us in control, right? We need to fast. So, yeah, this is the energy that a lot of us come out from. And I had received real messaging all my life. It's funny, it's almost like a little birdie was sent in every stage of my life to say, be careful, don't eat too much, you're gonna get fat. Literally, that's what people would tell me, like, since I was smaller. So my first messaging with food was, you need to sit at this table until you eat all of your food, right? Hey, why did they place that arbitrary rule on me? Well, because they projected, and because of maybe their fear and worry, that I was too little, that I was too skinny. Maybe they thought I was underweight. I don't know. I don't really know what these people were thinking. But whatever they were thinking, it was out of fear. For 99% probably was fear-based, right? Like, or maybe it was out of their own want of control. Be like, I fucking cooked this meal, you're gonna eat it, you know? I can't say if that happened a lot, because my mind has only one picture and one memory of me sitting at the table in front of food and them saying, you have to sit there until you finish this food. So I don't know how often this actually happened. And I don't know if I ever conformed and started eating more food because they had me sit at the table until I finished my food. And I don't remember if I even finished my food that night. I'm pretty stubborn. And my guess is that I probably didn't eat my food. I probably chose to sit there all night long. I don't know whatever came of that night. But I do remember the instant. So anyways, and then all I remember after that is, like, then I hit my chubby phase when I was a tween. And, you know, sometimes being called fat girl in grammar school, but I wasn't the most fat girl, so I had that going for me, right? I was kind of like, I was tinkering. I wasn't skinny, though, either, you know? So, I was kind of the fat girl, but there were girls that were bigger than me. Thank God, right? To pick on. How sad. I hate school for that. For children who are, you know, fucking bullies. So anyways, yeah, then I was chubby. And then from that point on, all I remember, it was different people incrementally in my life telling me, like, oh, you don't want to eat too much, but you don't want to get fat. So the whole thing is, like, the whole messaging is, if you eat, you will get fat. Or if you eat a lot, or whatever they thought was a lot. I don't know. It wasn't very specific. It was just kind of like a warning, like, watch out. You don't want this outcome to happen. And of course, this came from people probably who projected their own fears onto me, who they were afraid of getting fat. They probably had their own disordered and dysfunctional thinking about food that they projected onto me, you know? So I never really had, like, eating disorders that I could say. I know that I did restrict a bit, a little bit, like, I don't know if I intentionally did it, though. I don't really know. But yeah, so anyways, and I've kind of always had that in the back of my mind. It hasn't been, like, on the forefront, but it plays. It's a record. And another thing that, like, I'll do is I won't want to buy bigger clothes, right? Because there's this fear that if I buy bigger clothes, then my body will also get bigger and bigger, you know. I don't know. Is that logical? But then people say, they encourage you, they say, buy clothing that fits your body. Like, yes, that's the logical thing to do. What my mind wants to do is based out of fear, you know, which is never a good place to, like, really act from. So yeah, arbitrary rules and limits really come out of fear when you're doing things and you're trying to know yourself, konosio, right? Or whatever the Greek word is for know, to experience yourself, like, intuitively, you know, that has more trust, peace, you know, rest with it. And if you want to experience a level of peace in your life, there has to be a level of trust. There has to be a level of intuition, because arbitrary rules always bring fear of judgment, right? Just like the Bible says, like, the law brings death. The spirit brings life. You see this theme play out in so, it's always like the two brothers, the conscious, the subconscious. It's just like you need a level of trust and rest internally to have some peace. All right, that's all I wanted to share. Take care.